Welcome to Crushing Kayfabe. My name is Jason Garish. Thank you for tuning in. Let's see. We got a lot to talk about, but unfortunately, a little bit of limited time. But another NFL week, second week of the season. Kind of the same results for the Raiders. Not real happy about that. Basically, everything that I predicted would go wrong is going wrong at this point. And I'm afraid that if McDaniels doesn't start steering the ship in another direction, he's going to start losing the players exactly the way he did with Denver. There's no reason why they should have lost to Arizona. Absolutely no reason. Just poor coaching. I mean, the penalties are down. There's obviously more discipline. That's great, but decision-making has to be addressed. And, Josh Jacob had 29 handoffs, 29 carries, I should say, but the rest of the running backs, the rushing crew there, only got like one handoff. That was Zamir White, and one of the rushes was from Carr, I think. So there were a total of like 31, I would say, like 30 running plays and one rush by Derek Carr. So that's got to change because there's absolutely no reason why that loss should have occurred. That's the biggest a deficit that was overcome by any opponent of the Raiders in the history of the franchise. 20 points. So not good. Not good. I'm not happy at all about that. And with the running game that the Raiders have, there's absolutely no reason why that should have occurred. So, yeah, start looking at the coaching staff for that one because that was absolutely ridiculous. This week, Derek Carr did not turn the ball over. I don't know if we had any turnovers. No, I shouldn't say that. What am I saying? That's horrible, actually. The only one turnover that I'm aware of right now, I haven't gone through all the stats, is Hunter Renfrow coughing up the ball in overtime, which is an oddity for him. He's usually so sure-handed. I mean, he took a massive hit, so it's not really, it is his fault, but it's not. I mean, he took a wallop at the end of that play, and I don't know too many people wouldn't have fumbled on that one, but still, I mean, I shouldn't say, wow, yeah, that was a big turnover, obviously, in overtime, and then, but this should have never occurred, got a guy in Kyler Murray who doesn't even want to study film, which is insane. I mean, this guy, one of the most amazing athletes I've seen that's playing the game right now, but his athleticism is only going to get him so far. Once he goes up against the team that's got their stuff together, they're going to nullify him. Like I said, this kid is relying so much on his athleticism. I mean, all those plays were broken plays. Every single one of them that he got something on. And I get it. Crosby got to him once, I think, and I don't think there was another sack for that rest of that game. But still, if your guys are getting open, first of all, that's the other thing that bothers the heck out of me. I know that offensive holding is on every play. I get that. But in order for him to run around and have that much time, somebody's getting held. You got to look at the offensive line at that point, and somebody is getting held because there's no way possible, I don't care how athletic you are, that you can run around the backfield for that long without getting hit, So yeah, a very disappointing loss, 0-2, not happy at all about that, and like I said, the majority of things that I predicted that would go wrong are going wrong right now, which is I'm not happy about. I wanted to be wrong about the season so badly, and I hope that they turn this thing around, Once again, looking at the defensive scheme, not happy with it. Don't like some of the play calling there. I think it's way too conservative. Don't like it. And it's showing because to come back from a 20-0 deficit, obviously at some point the defense let you down. You know, and the offense let us down too a little bit because they had to maintain possession of the ball and didn't, obviously. You know, and that's that falls on the running game shoulders, and they should have had more snaps for the running backs, and I don't understand why they didn't. And very disheartening loss, very demoralizing, because these last two games should have been, I don't want to say easy, but they should have been wins for the Raiders. And the Chargers got shown up, you know, for what they really are when they went against Kansas City. So I am very unhappy with that entire situation, but what else we got going on? Titans are playing tonight. The Giants, for some reason, are winning games. It's just beyond me. I mean, kudos. I mean, my whole family pretty much is Giants fans, so God bless them. They're actually getting to enjoy watching Giants again, which haven't been able to do in a long time. And, you know, kudos out to them. God bless them, you know. I was hoping the Bears were going to be better, but they got shown up, unfortunately, this week. Man, that's too bad. That's really too bad. I was hoping they were going to turn things around a little bit, too. But kind of a topsy-turvy season. A lot of stuff you kind of predict. You knew the Bucs were going to be good. You know, you knew Green Bay was going to be good. You knew the Rams were going to be good. So some of the stuff is not totally, you know, unpredictable, but there's some stuff that's going on. Some teams they're shocking a few people. So so some things are happening. Hey, let's talk about wrestling now. Before I go on another diatribe about the Raiders, sorry. They shouldn't have lost those two games. Ridiculous. And their tougher opponents are going to be coming up. You know, what are they going to do against the Chiefs and some of the tougher opponents they're going to be facing? Not happy. Wrestling. We had Raw. We had a pretty good vignette with Dominic. I like the way they're going with this. I like the direction. I like how they're using Rhea Ripley, kind of manipulate him in almost a dominant role. I like what they're doing. Kind of doing the scumbag Dominic routine, which works. I like it. It's the way they had to go because as a babyface, he was horrible. He was not getting over. So this is the way that they had to go with this, and it prolongs the feud between Rey Mysterio, Edge, and the rest of Judgment Day. So I like the direction they're going with that. I like creative on that, and they could prolong that a little bit better. I heard some other podcasters, I know like Wrestling Soup guys were talking about the return of Braun Strowman and how he could have possibly contributed to this faction. And I think if they didn't debut him the way they did, I would have to agree. I think he probably would have been great as a heater in this particular faction, but unfortunately now he's such a huge over babyface, I don't think they could do it. Because they really need to kick Finn Balor out of this thing. He is absolutely driving this faction down and weighing them down. He is their albatross. You know, Rhea Ripley has been great. Damian Priest has been awesome in his role. I was hoping that he'd be the leader of this because he can talk. He's awesome. He can talk. He can wrestle. He's great. And he would be phenomenal in that role as a leader. You know, they're banking on Finn Balor's success in the Bullet Club to kind of propel this into the next level, and he's doing nothing but bringing these guys down. They need to jettison him in a hurry, really quickly, and do something else. Like I said, I've heard other people talk about Braun Strowman in that role, and I think if they hadn't debuted him the way they did, I think he would have been absolutely perfect for that role. Fortunately, he's so over right now as a babyface. They'd have to do something heinous with him in order to get him into the Judgment Day, which they could. You know, they could turn him into scumbag Braun. And once they finish his feud with Mysterio and Edge, possibly even there's always the possibility to turn them babyface. Because if they mix in with Braun, just make him a monster heel like he can be, and just unleash him, man, that they might not have any other option but to turn these guys babyface at that point, because I think he'd get way over with the crowd, because they've been wanting to see him, just unleashed for a long time. I see his value now. When they initially re-signed him, I didn't see it. I was like, wow. Partially because he's such a liability on social media. He says some really dumb things on Twitter, and that in a corporate, publicly owned company is not good. So I kind of thought of him as a liability. Obviously, with the pop he's getting, I was wrong. Because people are liking him, but for how long? Is this going to get old soon? Down the road, is he going to lose that momentum and just kind of sputter out and kind of fade into the background again? I don't know. As long as they don't do something stupid again, like pairing him off with a kid for a tag team, then he should be good. SmackDown, let's see. Actually, before I go any further, did anybody else experience technical difficulties while trying to watch Raw? Because it cut out a couple of times on me and had some static and whatnot, so I didn't know if that was something from their feed or from Sling's feed, because I do watch it on Sling, so I didn't know what was going on there. It was very brief, but I'm just curious whether or not anyone else out there experienced that. Now on to SmackDown, you still got they're adding fuel to this Logan Paul and Roman Reigns feud escalating. Interesting. I've got mixed feelings about that. I want to see it, but at the same time, Logan Paul is so green. Is he ready to be in the ring with Roman Reigns? Because both of them, Roman Reigns has improved quite a bit, but he has his best matches when he's paired off with people like AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, the people that can bring out the best in him. And I'm not sure Logan Paul is ready to do that. He's incredibly athletic, he's incredibly gifted, but he's still extremely green. He's the type of person that could have benefited from some time in NXT. And I realize, of course, he's been training, whatnot. Obviously, he's been training. He looks amazing out there, but at the same time, he needs to work on his promos, which is kind of weird because he was a media guy going into this, but he needs to work on his promos and he needs to work on his in-ring. And pairing him off with someone like a Roman Reigns kind of scares me a little bit, because he's not ready for that kind of challenge on the big stage. So I hope I'm wrong, because I am looking forward to seeing this. I saw the press conference with the pull apart and Heyman getting involved and all that, and it looked interesting. It was pretty good. So I'm looking forward to it, but at the same time, this might be a little bit too early to put him into that type of main event situation, And we had a Solo Sikoa with his first match on SmackDown against Madcap Moss. Not too bad, pretty serviceable. Both guys. I like the facial reactions and everything from Solo. He looks like he belongs there. Still a little green in the ring, still had a little bit of miscues between them, a couple of timing issues between the two of them, but not bad. It's probably the best thing I've seen Madcap Moss do in a while, so not too bad. He'll definitely fit into that bloodline, and he's going to be a good addition. It's going to be good, but yeah, it kind of got me interested in that, and they had to do something with him. They should probably put him in a bunch of dark matches before they go that route, though. But yeah, they need to bring him up and do some good things and show a little bit more of the interaction too between Karrion Kross and Drew McIntyre, which I'm definitely excited for that. I'm hoping that Karrion Kross comes out of there looking like $1 million, because the way that they did him earlier with his original gimmick on the main roster was horrible. You know, the whole gladiator thing, and this seems like kind of an apology, just throwing him right in main event status and upper echelon right away. And I hope he's ready for it, because I don't want to see him screw him again. I mean, everything outside of the main roster WWE, as far as his work in Impact, the Indies, and in NXT was great. So if they can utilize that again, I'm not sure I'm totally sold on him having hair yet. As I was so used to seeing him just look like this monster with a bald head coming out there with Scarlett Bordeaux and really just being this scary looking individual. Now with the hair, he kind of looks like a male model going out there. You know, he's a good looking dude, but so I'm not sure I'm totally convinced on the look yet. I think they need to do something a little bit different. You know, he's kind of coming out there with a bomber jacket, whatever. You know, whereas before he'd come out there and he looked like a killer. He really did. He just looked like a scary individual, especially with Scarlett in the background doing her thing. But I'm happy to see that. You know, that was a situation that Triple H obviously rectified and made good on. And I'm happy to see that. I mean, he hasn't had too many miscues. Had a couple, you know, with the wow, I can't even think of the rap group he brought back there. That's how little I think of them. But that they're horrible. And like I said, one or two miscues, but that's going to happen. He's not perfect. He's human, but the show is getting a whole lot better since he's taken over as creative. It's unfortunate that it had to go this way, but it is getting a lot better. And I noticed that in the news they're showing, I should say in the latest news, they have released, they being WWE, some of their executives and upper management. So you're going to see a complete restructuring of this company, I think, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Well, let's see. We got with AEW, we had Dynamite, obviously. You know, we have Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson are going to be going this week for the heavyweight championship. Should be a great match. Either one of those guys can carry the belt really proudly. Moxley did a good job when he had it, and I think it's probably time for Danielson. Bring a marquee name in there to hang the belt on. You know, because obviously Punk is going to be out for like 8 months, or 8 to 9 months, and if not more, if not out indefinitely. We don't really know his status within the company currently. We just know he's suspended, but it really doesn't matter, suspension, because of his injury. So he's going to be out. Was it torn tricep, if I'm not mistaken? He's going to be out for months if he even returns to the company. You know, so either way, he's going to be off television for a long time. But yeah, I'd like to see him put the belt on Bryan Danielson. I think he could do a great job with it as their champion and carry it proudly. I'd like to see what the heck they end up doing with the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and the Elite, and what happens on that front. You know, there needs to be some repercussions for this. Obviously, they've taken them out of the introduction of the show, but there needs to be more. And it's kind of a precarious situation because Kenny Omega was so deeply involved with the video game coming out. And all three of them were EVPs. They were executives within the company. And where do you go from here? You know, this is what happens when you build the foundation of your company on people that aren't competent, people who aren't suitable for the job. I think they're going to start having to make some transitions to some other officers. And, you know, and the scary part is Punk was absolutely 100% truthful and right in his promo. You know, did he go about it the wrong way? Absolutely. Did he go about it in an unprofessional manner? Yes. Was the media scrum a joke? I mean, yes and no. I mean, it's brought a ton of attention to AEW. Unfortunately, it's a lot of negative attention, which If you believe Eric Bischoff, he says controversy creates cash. So, yes and no. In the long run, it makes your company look weak. It makes Tony Khan look weak, and but yeah, it creates a buzz. It creates a sensation around the company, which will attract more eyes for a very limited amount of time, so people get bored eventually. Because what really creates cash is quality product and good writing, good wrestling. But yeah, we'll see where all this goes, because they need to address that fact. I know Aubrey was involved with the video game too, which was something that she was involved with previous to actually her job as a referee. She was involved in I believe the whole gaming industry or programming, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe she can take over that role as a figurehead for the whole video game portion of the AEW company. So there we go. Sorry about that little pause there. I'm getting some kind of static in the background, but I think we're good now. But yeah, that's kind of the way things are, and this media scrum feels like it's been going on for days, if not months. It's ridiculous. Getting all sorts of leaked rumors and garbage that we're kind of hearing from both camps. Young Bucks didn't break down the door. Young Bucks did break down the door. Or Young Bucks didn't break down the door, but they didn't knock. Ace Steel was just defending his wife who was there. He didn't want her to get hurt. Lots of different crazy rumors flying around. We won't know what really legit happened for quite some time, I think. But I'd like to see Punk stay. I really would. Whatever means they've got to do, and then just get rid of the Young Bucks and even Kenny Omega. I'm sorry. But most of all, get rid of the Young Bucks, please. Because they are just awful. And, they were a cancer in the locker room everywhere they've been. And it's just, they never should have started this company with them. They never should have. And I had hoped to, because for a while their Young Bucks matches were getting better. They're working in more psychology, but after a while they just become spot fests again. And it's really hurting the industry, because they were hitting these super kick parties, whatnot, and it just devalued the move and made it look dumb and unrealistic, and it really doesn't help anybody. Like Punk had said in the press conference, there is an absolute wealth of wrestling knowledge in that locker room. You look at Arn Anderson, Jake Roberts, Sting. They had Tully Blanchard until he got pissed off and left. They just have an absolute wealth. Matt Hardy, for crying out loud. Wealth of wrestling knowledge in the back there. Even Dean Malenko. Jeez, Jerry Lynn, I think, is working in the background too. Just utilize them, for crying out loud. Utilize them. They're there. Make them officers. I know they made Shivani head of talent relations. That's probably a good move. I think that would be a real good move. But that's a role that Jim Ross filled in so brilliantly with WWE. Why not offer the position to him unless he turned it down, or he just didn't want it? Or they felt like he just wasn't physically capable to fulfill those duties all the time, which is warranted. It's not unbelievable, but yeah, Shivani should fill that role very well. But when they announced Madison Rayne as a head coach or trainer, whatever, for the women's division, I hope that was kayfabe, and I hope that's not a legitimate title for her, because it's just ridiculous. They've got they've got Serena Deeb back there. She could make an incredible head coach. Even before the whole Thunder Rosa thing happened, I would have thought she could have filled that role because she has her own school and she does it. And I'm waiting desperately for what the heck is really going on with her. Because I find it extremely hard to believe that this many people... I think it's just arguments that got out of hand and there was no leadership to quell these things. And whereas like a Tony Khan or whoever was in the executive role should have stepped in and squashed these feuds, real life feuds, immediately, because it just escalated and escalated and escalated. Hence the CM Punk thing, I still don't understand why he has so much vitriol towards Colt Cabana, though. I understand they've sued each other, yada yada yada. You had one guy in the crowd yelling out Colt Cabana, and that got him so upset that he devoted 70% of his promo during the scrum to Colt Cabana, and that just kind of that's something you gotta let go, because what do you say, his last interaction was like 2014, 8 years ago? Come on, let it go, man. Let it go. It's time. Just let it go. Let the two coexist happily. You got people that love Colt Cabana, you got people that love CM Punk. I like both of the guys, and that's my right. I don't see why we can be mutually, exclusive to each other in our interests. It's just ridiculous. But enough about the media scrum. I could probably do 3 hours just devoted to that. But yeah, we had that going on. We had, unfortunately, Malachi Black has been released from AEW. I just hope and pray that everything's okay with him. I'm sad because I'm a big Malachi Black fan. I'm really unhappy to see him ask for his release and get released. Been kind of fulfilling the role as getting squashed all the time out there, but has a jobber. But they could have done so much with this House of Black, and the fact that he's saying he has some issues outside, personal issues he has to address, which he's denied that it's his marriage, which is good. He's denied that it has anything to do with Selena Vega, so I just hope that everything's okay in his life. Obviously it isn't, but I hope everything works out and we can see him again on television soon, because there's a guy that has a ton of potential that neither company has fully utilized or realized, and I think he could be a huge star, That's my thoughts on that. I'm gonna miss the guy, seeing him. I already talked about Bryan Danielson versus Moxley. We're gonna see that upcoming. Interesting thing happened on Rampage. Jericho came out and challenged for the ROH championship. I think it's like the only one he hasn't had, so that should be interesting. Claudio actually gave a good promo on the mic with him. He could actually talk. I like this feud. I like where this is going, and I think it's going to be fun, and if Jericho focuses on Ring of Honor, maybe it will kind of diminish his on-screen role. Not that I want to see less of Jericho, but there's several things with Jericho that you have to take into account. One, Fozzy. He's going on tour soon with Fozzy, so he's going to be off television for a little while. Two, he's got several projects outside of AEW that he tends to. Obviously, the podcast, Fozzy, etc., etc. He makes a ton of appearances. He's got his cruise ship thing going on. He's got his cruise going on. So there's a lot of things that are taking up Jericho's time, because there's a guy, if he could solely focus on, being an officer with the company. And I've seen mixed things that he denies being an officer in the company, but I've seen things that have indicated that he is, and I don't know where the hell he really stands on that. He's obviously a locker room leader, and he could have easily kind of stepped into the role as enforcer and judge in a similar manner that The Undertaker did in WWE, and that would have actually been great. I mean, he did kind of early on. I know he had spoken to some of the tag teams and whatnot, specifically the Lucha Brothers, and told them to cut it out with the not tagging in and stuff, which really made everyone look bad. It made referee look bad. It made the whole company look bad when they were just kind of flying about the ring willy-nilly with no tags for each other and pinning the non-legal man and all this stuff. So I mean, I knew that at that point he had stepped in and spoken to some of the people in the locker room, but I think there's a person there. Once again, we talk about wealth of information, wrestling knowledge. I mean, there's a guy, boom, right there. You got him, team him up with Arn Anderson, Dean Malenko, like I said, Jerry Lynn, Jake Roberts. You put those guys in roles that they can shine. Man, this company could really do exponentially much better and fully realize its potential, because the locker room, the roster is incredible in AEW. It's just they don't have a clue how to utilize some of these people in storylines, and there's really no one head of creative. It's Tony Khan. He's the one who's kind of the final say in everything, and you develop a situation kind of like what we had in WWE with Vince McMahon being the final funnel for approval. Unfortunately, we found out now that some of the ideas didn't even reach McMahon because Kevin Dunn automatically vetoed them right before they even got to McMahon. So yeah, they need to get their ship right. Otherwise, I don't see this company, meaning AEW, lasting another 5 years. I just don't. And if they do, it's going to be along the lines of something what Impact is now, which is a shell of its former self. Because right now I'm seeing way too many similarities between the two companies. And that needs to end, in order for them to succeed. So I'm wishing for the things to right themselves there, but hopefully that all works out. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. I'd like to give a shout out to Lucky Lady Candles. Check them out on Facebook and on Etsy. And give a shout out to us. Check out crushingkayfabe.com, crushing with a K. And check us out on Facebook and all of our other media. One of the best places you can find us is on patreon.com, because you can subscribe to the audio for just $1 a month, and it's ad-free. So for $1, you can help us keep the lights on, help keep us going, and help the podcast keep going, and it's very much appreciated. That's patreon.com, Crushing Kayfabe with a K. And also check out Then and Now Flea Market in Trenton, Tennessee, downtown Trenton, where you can purchase some of my CDs and purchase some handmade goods from my wife. That's Jenna Lynn, Hooked by Jenna Lynn. So you can check her out on Facebook too, but you can purchase that at Then and Now Flea Market in Trenton, Tennessee, right downtown on Square. And also you can go to Peggy's Attic in Milan, Tennessee, and purchase some of our stuff too. Purchase some of my CDs and some of Jenna's artwork and handmade goods. It would be awesome. Both those places have a ton of local vendors, some really good stuff. You can find pretty much anything, new, old, handcrafted. It's there. So check both those places out, and check me out, because the 24th I'm going to be playing the Humboldt Fall Festival, Humboldt, Tennessee. I'll be on Main Street. Come find me. I don't know exactly which location I'm going to be at, because apparently they're going to have multiple performers going at once. But 11 o'clock, Central Time, obviously, Humboldt, Tennessee, Humboldt Fall Festival on Main Street. Come check me out. Say hi. Come say hi, say how much you like the show, or say how much you don't like the show. Either way, interact and say hi. But either way, thanks for listening. And God bless.